One time. So let's get started. Welcome to DrupalCon Global. Today we're going to be talking about optimizing for search engines with 2020 vision. I am Jim Birch. I'm a technical lead at Canopy Studios. I'm the maintainer of a few modules on Drupal.org. Bootstrap paragraphs and Bootstrap pages and Seo Starter. I am a former organizer of Drupal Chicago Meetup and MidCamp, the Midwest Drupal Camp, while I lived in Chicago. And I am known to lurk in the Drupal SEO channel on Drupal Slack if you ever have questions or just want to talk all things SEO. You can find me at the Jim Birch on Drupal.org and basically any social media site out there. Or if you take a picture of that little UPC symbol thing, you can find me on LinkedIn too. Canopy Studios is a fully distributed agency in North America, we're in United States and Canada, that designs, builds, and support websites for clients that want to make a positive impact. I am speaking to you today from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. This is the land that was originally inhabited by the Nauset and Wampanoag people who first encountered the European settlers to what is now the United States. This is all about search. The first thing we want to analyze is where are we searching? The searches on the internet basically fall into a few different huge multinational corporations, of course, Google being at the top. Where is the second most searched place on the internet? YouTube, which is also a Google property. Bing and Yahoo share the next slot in a very, very, very distant place. Amazon has a huge amount of search for products in their catalog. Same with Facebook. They have a huge amount of searches in their networks. And then for our international viewers, you have Yandex in the Russian Federation and Baidu in China. But in reality, Google doesn't just lead the search engine market share, it dominates. With more than 90% market share, Google has the top spot by far. And with the introduction of mobile and voice search, searching has dramatically changed. With mobile and voice searches, Google has changed from a search engine to an answer engine, where it tries to answer the searcher's questions. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to send that user to your website. And yes, Damien, while DuckDuckGo is a wonderfully kept search engine with great privacy policies, it just does not have any market share compared to the big companies. So Google rarely has 10 blue links anymore. This is so 4 years ago where Google would actually return web pages in search results. Instead, it's filled with rich features. These are presenting content that may or may not be web pages in different styles based on the different types of content it was returning. So we have recipes and articles and maps of businesses, time and knowledge boxes, carousels of news. And we're also getting presented with featured snippets. This is actual content from your web pages that is presented directly to the users in SERPs, or search engine results pages. So this is presenting your content to the user that you've published on the web, but not necessarily getting a click to your website to see that. So in this presentation, we're going to review how search works. We're going to identify opportunities in the search engine results pages. We're going to work towards acquiring, or if you want, avoiding those opportunities. and then strategies for allowing content administrators to easily manage SEO tasks inside of Drupal. So how search works. The first thing search needs to do is find pages and then classify or catalog them in their indexes. Main way that's done is through crawling. So bots crawl URLs online that have been found in past crawls and from sitemaps that have been submitted. So the opportunity here is that you can submit your sitemap to Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools to tell them about new URLs. If not, they will find your URLs by crawling your site, if it's in the sitemap or in the menu structure, or if somebody else links to that page. Once they know about the URL, they index it. So URLs are rendered as a mobile browser would, since the Google index is mobile first. Key signals are recorded about that URL. So this is Google's own metadata that it keeps about your URLs. This could be keywords, freshness, or the age of it, a load time, any of those individual small things that you'll find in Lighthouse reports or PageSpeed Insight reports. And then it's filed in an index like you'd find in the back of a book. So every word on the page is indexed that, this word, this page is about it. So very, very old method of just cataloging information. In addition to the index, Google also has a knowledge graph. Facebook also has a knowledge graph. This goes beyond simple keyword matching to provide a better understanding of what the page is about, what the topic is about, basically people, places, and things. And then the knowledge graph connects these people, places, and things with how they are related. What's the relationship between them? Once the index is built and the knowledge graph is graphed and a user searches for a term, the engine tries to understand the intent of the search. And through that, the engine tries to understand the intent of the searcher. So a searcher intent, to figure it out, this engine uses language models. It interprets spelling mistakes and lets you know that it's doing that. It deciphers synonyms, homonyms, and colloquialisms. And it tries to deduce the type of search, or like the query category the query category that it's in. So is it a very specific search or a broad query? Are you looking for trending information or information about a business? That would be the category that falls in. Next, it takes a look at the searcher context and location. So that could be your country, your location in that country, the device that it's searched on, if you're searching on your phone or your desktop or your device in your home. It takes a look at your search history and any personalization it has about you. And this helps it deduce things like, if I'm in Chicago and I search for football, I'm going to get information about the Bears. But if I'm in London and I search for football, I'm going to get information sent back about the Premier League. So that's the context of where the searcher is. And the biggest thing in the last couple of years has been artificial intelligence or machine learning. There's a lot of stats out there that there's more data created every few years than all of time before that. And we have no plans to slow down. So this is how machine learning factors in. The latest tool that Google has created and open sourced is the Bi-Directional Encoder representations from transformers. So this is a natural language processing tool. It processes words in relationship to each other in a sentence rather than each individual word in the sentence. So this introduces the idea of the stop words that we had in our sentence that we'd pull out, like I'm just going to search for, Radiohead band, and get just Radiohead. But, now it takes a look at, is Radiohead doing a live concert somewhere? And it would take all of those words in a sentence and figure out that I'm looking for a link to a virtual event. It helps understand the subtle nuances of language and helps return a better result. The other machine learning tool is RankBrain. This was introduced a few years ago, and basically, instead of humans trying to come up with a match for a search query that it had never seen before, Google had never seen before, Google created this tool to basically deduce what the query is about using the ranking factors that it already had, assemble them in the order that they need to be, and then monitor the result. So, RankBrain and Google monitor how people interact with the results. So if you click through, stay on the page, never come back, that's a good thing. If you go back to the search results, then there's a problem, and it's not going to rank that as good the next time. But there are still humans involved. Google publishes the Search Quality Evaluators Guidelines. So basically, Google has a guideline for people that analyze search results. So they take their machine learning or their human ranked pages for queries and use these guidelines to judge themselves, basically. It's like Google's QA for themselves. And this PDF is available online for you to download and review. And it gives great insight into what Google Search Quality Evaluators are looking for in a good search result. Okay, so once the search is done, Google's figured out the intent. How is content selected? And this hasn't changed much over the years. It's content relevant to the term, content relevant to the user intent, and then the latest term to, or the latest acronym to describe the quality of the page or quality of the site is EAT. Expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness on a given topic. So the number one factor to get EAT is to get links to your website. The more people that link to your website, the more trustworthiness you must have. And then search quality evaluators also judge how trustworthy a site is based on the search. So, just like the Mayo Clinic is going to have the most expertise about a disease that they treat, but they may not have the most expertise about Drupal. That's where the queries and the trustworthiness kind of go their separate ways. And then on-page usability, that it appears correctly in different browsers. It's designed for all browser types, and it works well for slow internet connections. And Google gives us the tools to test this. They've basically made PageSpeed Insights, Lighthouse, webpagetest.org available to all of us, and told us this is what they use to judge us. Just introduced is the idea of page experience. So Google is taking the usability and defining very small bits of information and giving that information to us to analyze. So in page experience are web core vitals. So these are three things that we can pay attention to that determines whether the site has a good page experience and will be ranked as such in their search results. So the largest contentful paint that measures loading performance, and you want to have a page load below 2.5 seconds. The first input delay, this should be a super fast loading of your server. So this is below 100 milliseconds. And then the cumulative layout shift. This is if a page loads and then the content shifts, usually because of like ads loading or some other slow, expensive thing. This is a fraction. It's basically the layout shift score is a combination of the impact of the change and how much screen real estate it's taking up. So there's two things you can do to identify this. There's a Chrome extension, which you could add to your browser right now and start looking at it as you load your pages. There's also a JavaScript library that developers can load into a site and report on it in Google Analytics. And then these are also available as small bits of Lighthouse and PageSpeed insights. So that was the anatomy of the big search. Now, when we're in the results, let's talk about what we see and what opportunities we have inside of the search engine. The first thing, the most important thing, why Google has more money than anybody, are ads. Do you want to ensure that your content is included in the search results? You can pay. And how do you do that? You can bid on keywords in Google Ads. The next up are the traditional search result, the blue links. So these are your standard search results in the same ranking factors that have ranked before are still true with the addition of user intent. So you write good content, you get good links to your website, and you know your user's journey, what they're looking for. Next up is the one box. The one box are Google products and features that hold position 0, or sometimes in a resultless search, there's only the one box, that nobody else can compete for. So Google Translate, it may not be the best translation engine in the world, but it is not, nobody's gonna get that top spot from them. If you look at search for Google Translate, there's maybe one link that isn't about Google Translate on that page. Maybe there's an article about how this is, now they're the only result. Time and date, you used to be able to go to timeanddate.com or another website that offered those services. Now, sometimes when you search, what time is it, where's the date, you just get the Google results. Again, another product, Google Flights. Is it better than Orbitz or any of the other sites? No, but that Google Flights search box is going to be the first thing. And there's nothing that anybody can do about that. Next up are enhancements. So to your normal blue link, you can have small enhancements. And to achieve this, you can get them using the schema.org markup that's defined in the Google Search Gallery. So Google Search Gallery has a list of all these features and enhancements and which markup they're looking for to define it. So small enhancements are breadcrumbs that give you more real estate in your listing. Site links, which gives you 4 or 6 additional pages in your listing. And then search boxes. You can search through Home Depot's site right from search. Featured snippets. Besides the rich featured, the featured snippets are your content or specific content that gets printed inside of the Google search. There are map boxes, knowledge boxes. People also ask. There's lists, paragraphs, and data tables. How do you get them? Using a rank tracker. Rank trackers are software as a service, and there are plenty of them out there. That you can analyze your pages in search results and your competitors' pages. So you can basically use a rank tracker to find your competitors' snippets and target writing content for those terms. You can use people also ask, that ever-expanding list of related questions to dig deeper in a topic. I'm never going to rank for what is Drupal, but I might rank for talking about Drupal SEO and how to implement meta tags or schema.org, and related terms to that. There's a website called Answer the Public where you can do topic research to get a different view of what people are asking in those related topics, and then keyword research that you've always done. On the content side, you want to have valid HTML and proper H headings. The lists on most of these, the list, paragraphs, tables, are just HTML markup. Good old tried and true, not divs and spans, that kind of thing. Have great title and meta descriptions. So once you get in the SERPs, you want to make sure that people click on your links and stay there. So the title, make sure it's clear and to the question. And then for your meta descriptions, use that as an opportunity to describe what the page is about, not just a snippet of the content that is on the page. Right to answer questions. And add images, video, audio to your pages, not just to show that you know about the topic, but to get your users to stay on your page for an increased time. So again, if you go to a page and you click on a video, and even if it's just a 40-second video, or if it's a 10-minute video and somebody watches 40 seconds, that's better than somebody going right back to Google and looking for another page to get their information. So your content in Google that might not get you a click. If I search for something, how to make no-knead bread, and I got the basis of a recipe in Google, I might not click through to that page. So it's good for King Arthur flour because they're going to get their brand in my brain, and when I'm at the grocery store, I'm going to buy King Arthur flour. But if my site, in my recipe site, has the idea of ad revenue, I may not want my search result or my content in there. So you can opt out. Google will respect the no snippet in the robots or Googlebot tag, Googlebot meta tag, sorry. And then if it's a part of the question, a part of the content that you don't want included, you can use the data no snippet attribute on any HTML tag, and Google won't include that. The other option is because you're going to lose your blue link. When featured snippets first came out, it was first position in addition to the 10 blue links that were on the page. So SEOs called it position 0. Now, you could be, basically you had the feature snippet and your URL also appeared in the search result. As of the spring, Google started deduplicating. So basically, if you have the featured snippet, that is your listing on the search result page. You no longer have the additional position. So with the featured snippets out of the way, let's talk about the rich results. Again, I mentioned the search gallery earlier. There's a small picture of it on the right. Basically, it lists all of the rich result types that they are currently publicly saying they have, and giving you basically really in-depth documentation on how to achieve that. Local businesses, or to get in the maps results, Google has said schema markup, the local business markup, will get you in there. In reality, Google My Business is the best place to get your business into a map box. So if you're not listed on Google My Business, sign up and fill out all of the information, and including encouraging your users to give you reviews there. Articles and news. Google has AMP markup, accelerated mobile pages, that will get you into the listings. They also advise on schema markup, and you can use that in combination with AMP markup. And they also have a publisher center. The Google Publisher Center is basically like Search Console. You can submit your news sitemap there and alert Google to new articles that you publish. Video. There is a chapter in this doc for schema markup for videos, but in reality, if you were to find a video listing in Google search results that is not YouTube, I would be very surprised. So ultimately, if you want your video in search results, upload it to YouTube, and then do video SEO, which is subscriptions, views, great titles, keywords, and a whole other slew of things, I am sure. Products. There are schema markup for products, but most boxes that I've seen returned with products come from Google Shopping. So US users, as of this year, can sign up for Google Shopping for free. It is a pay to include, it has been a pay to include and is globally, and probably will return there someday. But that, if you are into products, you should probably be there. Content types. So there are a ton of content types like we're used to in Drupal that all have their own markup. So, we always do at Canopy when we're looking at, our data model and creating fields. We also map out possible schemas there. So right now there's book, course, recipe, movie, jobs, podcasts, a whole slew of things. Ratings and reviews. These are two different schemas. And they are schemas that are a part of another entity. So in the example here, in a book schema, we also have a rating schema. In a local business restaurant schema, we'd have a review schema. Data sets. You can provide a way for users to search your data inside of Google Search using their tools if you mark it up using schema.org. Dataset markup. Events. Schema.org markup, very easy to implement. New for this year, thanks to COVID, Google added virtual, postponed, and cancel events. So you can now mark up existing events as postponed or canceled, and then they've made virtual events first-class citizens in search results. Interesting one, facts, how-tos, and QAs. So these are nested lists of basically facts, how-tos, and QAs, which you are defining now in schema.org markup and can get more prominence for your content inside of Google search results. People are taking advantage of this to get knowledge boxes about their topics, not necessarily your traditional fact about how to use your website, but a fact about how to implement things in Drupal, or what the business does, not necessarily about the website. So these are pretty cool things, and all kind of related to each other. Image license metadata. There are schema markup to let Google Images know what the license is for the images on your sites. Google also reads IPTC photo metadata, and this is the metadata inside of the actual image, so you can put your license information inside. Job posting. This example, we had a client that wanted to get better visibility for their careers, and we were able to achieve that using the job posting schema. Now potential hirees can go directly to their website rather than getting lost in larger, huge job list websites and get distracted and go someplace else. So this is a pretty achievable thing here. Logo and knowledge panel data. So if you have a knowledge panel, you can supplement the data that's inside of it using schema.org markup, providing logo, social media sites. They're using the same as schema, and information about your business. Speakable. There's schema markup that's identified in JSON, or you could identify content in using a CSS class that basically says, if I am chosen for a Google device to speak back to me about a certain subject, use this section of content on my site. So you can set up the schema markup, and then you need to apply for inclusion in the program. So basically, you'll be manually reviewed if your site is worthy of being speakable. And then subscription and paywalled content. So sites that have, like newspaper sites that have subscription services, want to be able to get returned for a query, so they make the information visible to Googlebot, but not necessarily a user that comes and visits the page. This was known as cloaking before, and a black hat SEO term process. Now with schema.org paywalled content, you can basically say this section is for only people that pay. So basically, this is schema markup that you put inside another creative work. This is a news article or a magazine article, and then you say, from these CSS classes, we don't want them to see it publicly. The biggest change this year was the special announcement schema. Biggest change, biggest addition for this year, special announcement structured data. This was created to allow people to create announcements for COVID-19 shutdowns and medical reports. You did it by adding the structured data announcement to your site, and Google would show these special announcements in search results pages. And again, not necessarily sending users to your site. So in addition to this, they also created a report on announcement visibility in Google Search Console. So we basically go to the Search Console page, and you can get statistics on how many people saw or interacted with your special announcement. With the advent of all these new schemas, Google has improved their testing tool. What used to be known as the structured data testing tool will soon be retired. Instead, they have released the rich results test. It's a new and improved tool that is basically what is inside of Search Console. And it returns information about all of their published rich features. So it's brand new, came out July 7th, just a little bit more than a week ago. Pretty cool to play around with. Okay, what's next? There are hundreds, if not thousands, of schemas. Like, it's the ultimate game of person, place, or thing. How does your content fit into one of them? I was doing some competitor research for a client, and I noticed that the person that was ranking in the top position had medical entity schema. This is not announced on Google, but they are the #1 result, and they are have a very in-depth medical web page, medical terms, symptoms. There's a lot of schemas out there that are ready to be implemented. Will Google parse them in the future? They may not. So implementing in Drupal, going to go a little bit faster here. We're running out of time. There are the meta tag and schema.org meta tag modules. This allows us to set meta tags and schema.org markup to any of our entities. You can inherit them, use tokens to set default values from entities. The forms get big, and with more and more schemas, you want to allow or not allow the forms on the page. I always go with not allowing the forms. Instead, I add fields specifically for meta and schema data. So it's an interface the content administrators are used to, and you can add as many fields as you want for fields you already have. You don't need to add things, but like in this example here, I am adding separate fields for Open Graph titles and descriptions. You can do the same for Twitter card titles and descriptions. So you can have different results for social media sites than you do for Google. In this example, here's a picture of an example page from Slack. It uses a different title because Slack uses Twitter card first, then Open Graph, or the Facebook example at the bottom. Instead of having the page title, you can say, you won't believe what happens on this example page, and you must click through to see here. That would be terrible in Google search results, but for social media sites, it is exactly what's needed sometimes. The real-time SEO for Drupal module. This gives content administrators an analysis of their content based on the keyword that they put in to focus on. This is always a cool tool to use. The SEO checklist module, which is a wonderful module that gives you, as a developer, a tool to make sure you have set up the best defaults for your content administrators. There are two sitemap modules, the simple XML sitemap or the XML sitemap module. Both are great tools. One was released fully before the other. Both have different features, but more importantly, both submit new page changes to Bing and Google search consoles. So you definitely want to use one of those. The Seo Starter Module. This is a module I made after talking with Ben, who's in the room here, and his incredible Drupal 8 SEO book. Basically, it's just a configuration-only module that follows the first few chapters of his book on your best practices on what you should set up for your users to have the best practice for SEO. And also follows along with that checklist pretty well. The last thing I wanted to talk about was reporting. We've traditionally always used analytics. Users who have JavaScript turned off, users who have ad blockers or haven't accepted GDPR cookies are not going to be able to go into your analytics reporting. So where do you go next? Search Console. This is how your site performs in search results. So if you are getting your information in rich snippets and featured rich features and feature snippets, you can get reports on that. I talked earlier about external rank trackers. Basically, sign up with any of these services. There's a ton of great ones out there. They can give you your rank tracking in addition to a bunch of different tools. Log file analysis. So this is server logs that you have available, and you can monitor every individual hit for your site. You can identify large and slow pages, identify referrers, orphaned and unvisited pages if you compare logs to a full list of all your URLs. So log file analysis is a great tool for SEOs. And then, of course, direct communication with your users. You're tracking phone calls, business visits, how'd you hear about us, email signups and getting people into your CRMs, and how many social follows. So I may have a few minutes for questions. If not, thank you everybody for coming, and I hope you have a great conference. And if everybody could fill out the survey, or if anybody wants to fill out the survey, the Drupal Association and I would love to hear feedback on what you thought. Well, hey, everybody. The slides are at jimbir.ch/SEO-2020. I sent out a tweet earlier. If you follow or check out @thejimbirch on Twitter, it has a link to the slides also. The Real-time SEO module, the Yoast, is compatible with paragraphs now. Simple sitemap versus XML sitemap. The simple sitemap has the opportunity to create different sitemaps based on entities that you decide. So you could create a news sitemap, an image sitemap, a sitemap per language, whereas the XML sitemap is just your plain old sitemap. Order to do updates, something quick versus something, solve problems first. Get rid of 301 redirects, any HTML errors, redirect chains if you're sending your users through different redirects, any pages without titles or meta descriptions, H1s. The Twitter, Edgar, is the Jim Birch. My name, Jim Birch, with the in front of it. And yes, you can always ask me any questions during the conference. I'll be here all week. Opinion about AMP pages. If you want to be included in news results, in articles, top stories, you should definitely look into AMP. I would say if you're not in that world, just make yourself a fast website. The survey, let's see if this works. There you go. Here's the survey link. Peter, is it valuable to have schema.org on individual items in a views listing, or is it enough to have it on the full view mode? So it's definitely enough to have it on the full view mode. So we added in the content entries. There is a schema.org item list that works with views. So you could have an item list of, and then put books, and you could have that come in with your teaser views of the view. So if you're trying to rank for a list of books, that might be helpful. Whereas if your full view mode of the page is going to be for the individual book. Anna, how do you handle meta tag configuration when your user doesn't fill in the fields you created for them? If you create them as fields rather than give them the meta tag form, you could make the fields required. So that would be, a conversation you would need to have with the clients that would force them to create put anything in the field. If they don't want to, then you've done your best by setting up the basics and giving them the opportunity to acquire these search results, basically. Okay, yeah, and send me a message, hit me up on Slack or Twitter or anywhere that you find me, and I'd be more than happy to talk more SEO. I'll see you all at the Dries Note. Thank you so much.